You also had some like really great shows, especially like new venues, new shows since you've last been on here.
Yeah.
One thing I really want to talk to you about is your Comic Cons
Yes.
shows because when you were last year, I think it was just Sunrise where you had your shows, but it's expanded.
Yeah.
I think I saw Miami Beach. I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
one time New York was one of
Yeah.
the.
So we've been very fortunate. I've been very blessed and fortunate that I know the Comic Con community pretty well. I'm a nerd. I'm a full on nerd. So I used to have podcasts in the past, in very long past, many moons ago, some people would say, where I would do podcasts out of comic book shops. I would do podcasts out of Comic Cons. I have like live panel podcasts.
Okay.
So I had a kind of a small relationship with those venues, but those relationships then now doing comedy have expanded. Now I can bring a performance aspect to a Comic Con. You were at one. I remember we had you up on stage. You were dressed as a Picard. I remember.
Yeah, that's my Halloween costume.
It was great. A Sunrise Comic Con, which I love doing, is coming up in March, so to keep posted. Sunrise Comic Con, we're going to be there again. We do that. That's more of an all ages show, so we do pretty much like everyone. We try to keep it clean because kids do attend that one.
Yeah.
So we try to make it like all ages, which is great because it's comics testing out honestly new material, because comics trying to be able to be personable and be well performing in front of all ages, in front of kids, in front of teenagers, adults. So it's a different level of comedy. Definitely, it's actually a higher bar. Honestly, that's a hard task for a lot of comics to ask, to stay clean, to stay motivated in that space. And I love that Comic Con is really cool. It's very close to home. We get a good attendance there. We should get we pack out the room almost every time we do it there. And it's just a fun experience. You meet some of the celebrities there. It's cool. They give us our own green room. That's the one thing I love about that Comic Con. We have our own green room. Nice. They feed us, they take care of us. Shout out to City Sunrise. Shout out to Sunrise Comic Con. It's coming up again in March. I don't have the exact date, but it's coming up in March. Then, of course, in June is Florida SuperCon. So, again, in early 2021, we were able to do one show at Florida SuperCon. And in that show, we blew the doors off the place. It was fully packed out, standing room only. Over 300 people were in that room. It was a great experience. So we were able to send the photos and like the head counts to the administration at Florida SuperCon. They fell in love with it. They gave us 2 shows, the next con, 2022.
Okay.
2023, they gave us all 3 days. We had a show every single day.
Oh, wow.
Of SuperCon. And then we did it this year again. And again, we blew the doors off the place. We had one room. It was our Saturday night show. Connie Fernandez was in attendance. Zach Bugarin was there. Adrian Hernandez. We had a great lineup for that show. I did a seat count. I do a seat count now before shows to kind of get an idea. So when I do the show, like there was over 420 seats in that room.
Yeah.
Every seat of that room was filled. And again, standing room. So we had almost 440 people in that room. And just the coolest thing, Barsky, was for these SuperCon shows, they make people line up. They make them form a line because they actually scan them in, because they have to make sure they're 18 and older for stuff. So seeing people line up for your comedy show beforehand and seeing how long, it's such like it's such a cool experience to see like people waiting, wanting to see you. It's not like, people, okay, we'll come stop in. People lining up with fervor and with like, I want to see a great comedy show. It's such a cool experience. That's cool. I love the audiences at SuperCon. So to get to the last point, SuperCon is owned by a conglomerate. They have like a parent company, right? This parent company does Comic Cons all throughout the United States. So we were in communication with SuperCon about other projects that we're going to announce soon, actually next year, which is very exciting. But during that conversation, talking about months later after we did SuperCon, like it was not really in my thought process at the moment, is SuperCon approached the people I spoke to in SuperCon approached. I was like, hey, we're really excited about all these projects we want to move forward with. But while we're in discussion with you, would you want to do a show at New York Comic Con?
Mhm.
And that was like, yes, obviously. I called Tarno, I called everyone
Mhm.
in to tell them, hey, we're going to New York Comic Con.
Oh,
This is like,
nice.
is honestly, as a nerd and as a performer, this is a dream of mine. It's in
Mhm.
the Javits Center. The Javits Center is like one of the biggest convention centers in the United States.
Mhm.
It's literally facing the Hudson. There's over, I mean, the amount of people that are at the convention itself was ridiculous. It was like over 60,000 people.
Mhm.
You have major companies having like vendor spaces. So we're talking about like Scholastic Books, like the actual Scholastic Book Company is there. Marvel has a Capcom, PlayStation. They all have actual, these are real time, like well thought out, a lot of money behind it exhibits because they're announcing movies, they're announcing TV shows, they're announcing products at this convention. So it's a big, just a big deal. It's one of the biggest conventions in the United States in general. So I go up there. Thank God we have a lot of transplant Miami comics and Florida comics that are
Mhm.
now in New York. That includes like Amanda Vasco, Jack Norris, Jeff Quintana at the time, Evan Wembley. So me and Adrian go up and we have like a great weekend in New York. It was the first time I've ever been in New York, first time as a comedian performing in New York. So we did a show in Brooklyn. We did a show in Greenwich Village, which was great. Shout out to the comedy shop in Greenwich Village. You guys were amazing. And then I was worried as a comic because you worry about how your material will travel,
Mhm.
especially to another state. Like I know the Florida audience pretty well. I have a lot of geared Florida material to
Mhm.
here,
Yeah.
but I was wondering if my personality, if my performance would translate to another state, specifically New York
Mhm.
City. And I was very nervous about that before doing the actual show at New York Comic Con. That comedy shop Greenwich Village show was 2 hours before our actual show at Comic Con. And my material translated well there. We had a really good show, really good performance there. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe it will work in New York. And
Mhm.
again, we packed out that room. There's over 350 people in that room. And that was probably my best show, not only booking, but performance wise I've ever had.
Oh, nice.
Like to just dominate a room and like have it be so loud
Yeah.
and like everyone's bought in again, like all the audience is there, they want to laugh. They're even letting like experimental kind of like raunchy material fly. Like
Okay.
it was it was a truly once in a lifetime experience for me. And now because of that, we're going to be going back. We're going back
Mhm.
next year, New York Comic Con. We're going to be going to a lot of Comic Cons around the nation very soon. So
Oh,
get ready.
nice. Hopefully, they'll get you to the ones in LA. LA Comic Con. The
Probably,
Comic Con.
prob San Diego would be, whew, that would be a dream.
Or was it is it San Diego? Okay.
It isn't a, well,
Okay.
it's like LA. Well, it's San Diego.
Okay.
San Diego's the original Comic Con. It's the original. It's the big one. It's
Yeah.
the one
Okay.
that they make real big announcements at. That
Yeah.
it's the one that like
All the movie
CNN will go
stars.
to,
Okay.
like that Comic Con. That would be a dream. That would be a dream. Maybe I'll reach out to them. And I performed in California before. I know my material is okay in California, but that would be truly a dream, man. That would be like next level stuff for me.